brief but impactful trip, Kevin.
Yeah, you're right on the money. And if I can just say, it was almost as like the president attended 10 Make America Great rallies at once. You mentioned it, more than 120,000 in attendance at the new cricket stadium. And what really struck me was the remarks and the way they were received. It was overwhelmingly warmly received by the people in attendance. The president celebrating the long-standing and enduring relationship between our two countries, the two largest democracies in the world. The president also went to great lengths to hail the burgeoning business ties between the U.S. and India. Listen here.
Since my inauguration, commerce between our two nations has increased by more than 40%. India is now a major market for American exports, and the United States is India's largest export market. A booming America is a great thing for India, and it's great for the world.
So if I could just tell you this, we're looking at basically the rest of the day being spent en route here to New Delhi. You saw the rally earlier, of course, the visit to the Taj Mahal, which will be coming up here shortly. The president will overnight here. And then tomorrow there's a huge opening ceremony event here in New Delhi. That'll be followed by bilateral and business meetings and then a state dinner tomorrow night. The big agenda item is trade. You heard the president talking about how positive things have been and how they're moving in the right direction. We expect to get a lot more, including a readout on that. But for now, guys, back to you.
All right. And Kevin, it sounds like the trade. It sounds like 24 helicopters, state-of-the-art MH-60R Seahawk helicopters. But while we look at this gigantic Namaste rally there in India, this really is kind of a sequel to the gigantic rally last September in Houston when the Prime Minister visited there.
Yeah, spot on. I was actually at that rally. It was the Howdy Modi rally. It was down in the great state of Texas over in Houston. And it was amazing to see 50,000 plus in that stadium just to sort of celebrate again, not just the ties between our two countries, but the humongous, and I mean it, it's a humongous community, not just in Texas, but all across the country. There are millions of Indian Americans. And so that was terrific. This is sort of a home and home, a make good, if you will. And I can tell you here, just including my conversations with people here in the hotel and even about we were in town today, they are really happy to have the president and first lady here.
Kevin, describe the significance here and how similar are these two leaders?
That's a great question. Two things I think I would tell you and the folks at home. Number one, they're both passionate about business. And I think when you really talk about Make America Great or Made in India, there's some simpatico relationship between those two thoughts, those two ideals, the way that they're really trying to say to their respective countries, we can do it here. We're strong enough, we're bright enough, and we have all the materials that we need to take care of ourselves. And the relationship between the two countries, I think, is really important, not just from a security cooperation perspective, but it's that business tie that really, I think, really sort of keeps everything moving forward. And if you're the president, if you can strengthen ties with India, that's not only great for geopolitical reasons, that's outstanding for business reasons as well.
All right. Kevin Corke, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Thank you, Kevin. And by the way, so you see that little sign there that said Trump and then had an Indian symbol there? That was on every single seat inside that cricket stadium. So it was almost like a rally, so to speak. So they could have put an American flag. They actually wrote out Trump. What I also think is interesting, I couldn't do with the definitive biography of Modi, but the president did point out where he came from. He worked in his dad's tea shop, was able to work himself up through Indian society, which for the longest time in the past has been a caste system, and become the very popular leader of that country, leading him into the next century. And anyone who thinks, wow, the president's in bed with Russia and will sacrifice American needs for Russian needs just hasn't been paying attention. Number one, the president's making a huge push to be the number one supplier of arms to India. Guess who is right now? Russia. And if you think that we're being easy on China in any respect, the number one hedge against China would be India in that region. So the more you strengthen ties allies, the more you're sending a message, man, these two, one rising nation and one established superpower, combining forces can be pretty intimidating.
And in fact, last fall, the United States and also India had their first ever joint military exercises on air, land, and sea called Tiger Triumph. The President of the United States said it was something to behold. He said, I believe that the U.S. should be India's premier defense partner. He said that this morning in his 27-minute
We'll be
speech.
following it. In 20 minutes, they'll be arriving at the Taj Mahal, and we'll go back to Kevin Corke and give you the latest information there. Now let's talk about the election, because this week's